Hello, Christian. Welcome to Metalkaoz.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Nice having you. This time talking about Necrofier
Yes.
and with a brand new record deal.
Very excited to be moving over to Metal Blade. I mean, it's Metal Blade. I don't think I have to explain too much, but just it almost I feel like everything points back to that. That like a lot of things started there.
Right. So, does it make any difference for the band with having a new record deal? Does it make any difference, for example, working on a new album?
No, because we honestly finished this record before we what is it? We finished this record before we were on Metal Blade. I
Oh,
mean, creatively, and I think what we do, being like depending on what label puts it on, doesn't change us to anything like that. I would say it more kind of changes, like I think maybe things like perception or honestly just like promotion and things like that.
okay. Okay. So, if you were to compare the process of Burning Shadows in the Southern Night with this one, what would you say the biggest differences are?
I say there was more, there was a lot more synthesizers and stuff put on this record. And I think the other big difference is I feel like we really kind of captured a more like raw live angle of how we actually sound on this one. Like
Mhm.
those kind of things are hard to capture in recordings, and I think it really pulled it off on this one. And then I think the record, and also we leaned like a little bit more of like traditional black metal on this one. So I mean, those are like I think the three things.
So it's interesting to
That
hear
way.
that you say to capture the live sound of the band and then use synthesizers and then
Mhm.
going back to have more black metal connections.
Yeah.
That's an interesting. Uh, so, did the concept had anything to do with how you, as you said, expanding the sound, or was that as a goal in the beginning when you started?
I think like, making this like stepping up everything on this record, I think was a overall kind of goal or something we were intending for to do with this one. But it started. I mean, like I had been throwing around this concept for a couple of years. So, like when we started working on this record, I was like, maybe do something that's one cohesive piece rather than say, a collection of songs in the same kind of world. So it started off with the intent to be something like that, and then I feel like everything else is kind of lit along with it. So it became basically just kind of tried to level up everything we were doing, like from
Okay.
songwriting to adding other things like synth, which we can do on it, and aggression, and just I mean, just like everything. All like I feel like from the get go, it was like let's put out something special and better than um what like our better. I don't know if better is the exact word, but just like to improve from before.
Okay. Okay. So at what point did the band decide to have three acts with three parts? I mean, what did this structure means for the album? Because there is this is the third album.
Mm-hmm.
The number three is everywhere.
Yes. So originally, like I think that this kind of happened intentionally and kind of organically aligned itself with the rest of it, where we were talking like we discussed making the record something where it would be in kind of like pieces and then or in acts or whatever you want to call it, movements.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, that works really well with this concept I've been like the record's about, so I could put it into these, so it became three. So then we came up with the titles for them, and then so it's like three on three. And then when we started doing interludes, there ended up being three of them. So I mean, it's like one of those things where it was there, and then it kind of just naturally moved there. Like there's no coincidences and things like that. So I feel like it was supposed to happen that way, and like magically moves itself that way after we found like the path to it kind of thing.
Maybe you had you had the structure in mind, and when you start actually creating stuff, it came naturally, as you said.
Yeah, it's some of that because when stuff happens like that, and like especially with all that, it's I mean, it's a little bit of tent, but like when it really rolls into something where it fits that perfectly, I feel like it's just magic. I don't know
Mhm.
how to describe it.
Is it different? having a structure in mind or a concept when when you are starting writing music? Do you think about, okay, this will be on the second part, on the second act?
It
This
does
will
make
be on
it
the
more
first.
involved. Yeah. It does. I think it's like a much more involved process where, yeah, you think about where it goes, and then you like, you want the song to invoke a certain kind of feeling because it's supposed to or it tells you kind of like where it should be located based on like kind of like the like whatever feelings the song like the music makes invokes. But it's a lot more thought than I mean, like we write songs and you put them together and then like it's like a couple extra steps are added, so it's a little more difficult, I would say, or
Okay.
like or difficult or just a little more involved.
Okay, so the actual concept, you in the press release there is a Luciferian Dark Night of the Soul.
Mm-hmm.
So Dark Night of the Soul, if I'm correct, it's from the Saint John of the Cross, right?
It is.
So this describes how you transcend and join God, right? By uh, basically stop being selfish, maybe.
Well, okay, so it's basically so it takes from that idea, but
Yeah.
like Luciferium is about like it's like inner darkness and searching for yourself, and also like kind of like for better words like becoming one with God or being one yourself. So it's kind of in that same concept, except that's the end. But it's still like say a spiritual journey and struggle kind of thing because it kind of takes like the principles of what that is, except the intentions behind it and what it is and where it leads you is not the same as the traditional one that like you're talking about.
Correct. It's
Yeah.
I don't want to use the word selfish because we are selfish human
Yeah.
beings, right? So it's kind of stripping yourself. Can we say from the false truths? Can we use that?
Yes.
Whatever this may be,
Yeah, because
right?
it's like that. It's like opening your eyes to things that you didn't really know existed, or like actually accepting things you thought to be true that aren't true. Like that. And some like and dealing with that is not easy. It's like you think something some way, and then you learn something and it's not. So like that's kind of like where it puts it from the first movement to the second one, where it's the second one's like dealing with the fact that like you've awakened to all this stuff, and it's like it's not always easy to deal with some of that stuff to spending depending on that. And then like once you get through that, then the last part of the record is like the ascension of it. So it's like the like oh you like given like let go of things previously past and like moving on to like like either yourself like a certain level of enlightenment or at least like knowing.
Or even how you were brought up to be, right? What
Yeah.
maybe dogmas you were
Yes,
taught,
because lots
right?
of like, and there's lots of stuff. It's like this is how everything's supposed to be, and it's like that's
Yeah.
not how everything's supposed to be. Stuff like that.
So that's extremely painful to, although it's liberating
Mm-hmm.
to start understanding these things, but once you see that maybe you spend some decades of your life believing something that was totally not true or even not even applicable in our daily lives, that's what leads us to act two, right? To the part two. And that's really, really painful. What I'm trying to say is that, and I hope I'm not wrong here, it's not exactly spiritual, the meaning. It's more of a human, has a human meaning, a real one.
I mean, it's like I think it's somewhere in between kind of thing,
Mhm.
where it's spiritual, but it's also like in life and other things too. So it kind of like rides that world of like it does exist here, but it's also spiritual. Yeah.
And this journey to ascension, as you said, it seems like there is some personal aspect on this.
There's a lot of personal stuff on it, and even as I was talking to someone earlier, and I was talking about like in this same process, like so someone was asking us about like going from switching labels and stuff. So it was like like we knew we didn't want to be with our old label anymore. So it was like, okay, cool, we need to move on. And then it was like we don't have a label, and everything's like, what are we gonna do? And then we moved on to Metal Blade. So it's like on some of the stuff, there's different aspects, and there's like a lot of personal stuff that kind of pushed me through into this. With just last couple of years, I've done it's like some of the biggest things I've ever done, but also it's came with like a lot of like um, just like stress and anxiety and other things, and like just other things pushing it. So like there are like all sorts of different things throughout, like or there in my life, kind of went through all this kind of things in the last couple of years, like while we were doing the record. So there's a lot of that in there, aside the fact with it's just like some other kind of just like life journeys of it, like not just say the one concentrated area, like combined in the whole thing.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned stress, because most, if not the majority of the stress that we feel is because we have been raised to think in a specific way.
Yeah.
We get stressed in our own minds because maybe we learned to do that, and we don't know why even.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, I mean, like a lot. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that of the record is basically, yeah, exactly what you said, like in that, or and especially like coming to the point where dealing with it, and yeah, it's
geez, yeah. So how did all these were used for the cover artwork? Because you worked with Jose Gabriel Alegría, right?
Mhm.
Sandoval. So
we,
how do you guys work with him?
so first it was purely the right time. I was like, I've wanted to work with Jose for a while, and Jose, we got in touch with him, and he was like, yeah, I would love to do this, and I have time right now. I mean, so I was like, perfect. So I didn't give him any direction besides I told him like what we're talking about, what the record's about.
Oh, really?
I just gave him the concept of the record, and I was like, do what you want to do.
Man, that's impressive, because there is definitely a connection with what we have been talking about. You have the three parts almost,
Mm-hmm.
and it's interesting that you can see the cover. You can read it from the bottom to the top,
Mm-hmm.
but also from the top to the bottom, right?
Yeah.
So
All this, I mean, there's a lot, like what I was saying earlier, there's a lot of stuff, like not even outside, just like say some of the stuff with the tracks or the songs, and then like the structure of like just a lot of this stuff came together like real magical, like where it was like, okay, how did this happen? Like obviously using somebody like Jose, like I knew that Jose would know what to do with the concept and completely trusted him to just like anything. Like his art's amazing anyways, but I know that he'd be able to do something that was to kind of invoke the theme or like an imagery of the record.
yeah, but still having him putting images in what you had in mind, it's impressive without giving, as you said, more direction.
Mm-hmm.
So the album closes with toward the Necrofier.
Mm-hmm.
So aside, obviously, being the band's name,
Yeah.
what does the Necrofier represent here?
The Necrofier represents there. It's like kind of like it's like you've like the burning of yourself, and then like to becoming like like basically like the final like kind of ascension thing. It's just like a celebration of that, but it's basically like like just burning yourself, so like you come out on the other side like free of what you were free of before.
So bringing death, maybe, to
I
the
mean, like
things
you can
that
like
you
there's
believe.
like it could be like it's like death of like who you were and things like that. Like death in different terms of like maybe they're not like mortal life, but like death of thought or like previous thought or like conceptions and things like that.
Yeah, or your even perception of the world comes to is being resetted
Yes.
instead of dying. Um, so when we follow this journey through the acts, was rebirth/ascension the ultimate goal? I mean, is the goal known when you start this journey? Let's say.
I mean, the goal I feel like is to get like is I don't know if there's actually like when it started if there was a goal more than it is the actual journey, I guess. Like you end up at the point, but it's like the process of going through it's how you actually know and learn and like become, rather than it being like here's the beginning and here's the end. It's like the process of it is actually like the what's the saying that's always said, it's the journey not the destination kind of thing.
Or the chase better than the cats?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that means also that it's not a definitive start or a definitive end. This
No.
is something you keep going through in cycles.
Yeah, I mean, like if there's one thing, like life changes, period, all the time, and like it's like and holding on to things, I feel like is like some people's in any kind of way, good things, bad things. It can be crippling to people or it gets you trapped in loops and other things like that. So it's yeah, like that it can happen numerous times and things like that.
Yeah, letting go is one of the most difficult things to do, right?
Yeah.
And as you
But no
said,
one wants like no one wants to let go, especially if it was something was once good. They want it to last forever, or they want it to be the same because things can evolve, and that's like what actually think happens. You just have to move into where it like what something actually is now, opposed to what you remember it as or what you want it to be.
yeah, or letting go the safety that you think you have.
Yeah, I mean, taking a jump and just trying to do stuff and like doing something outside your comfort zone, or that you have like you just like take a risk to see what happens, and you don't know like you have no safety net to like hold you is like that's a like that kind of stuff's important and also very scary.
Yeah, and it's applicable to music, right? You put out an album and you don't know, there's no safety net that will say,
Yeah, I
hey,
mean,
this
you put
album
out
is
a
good.
record, and especially now, like you'll instantly know on the internet when everybody says.
Well, yeah, but usually those opinions are very
I mean,
um
not, okay, let's not go with everyone's opinion,
sure,
but
sure.
but if you have put out a record and like in either way, it's still like I mean, it's people trying to judge art, which is another conversation. But but if you put something out and everybody hates it, it's said like like and you read that stuff, it'll fuck with you. Or I mean, I try to like not pay attention to like what say like I definitely not pay attention to every comment on the internet. Like it doesn't matter. Like I hope somebody doesn't like this because if someone doesn't like it, we're probably not doing it right. So, but it's yeah, it's like let's go with instant feedback. People write things about it, reviewers do things, fans, this and that. You can, you get that back, and it's like good or bad. Because even too much good comment, like feedback, is not like necessarily always a good thing as
Correct.
well. Like
Correct.
for yourself, at least.
I agree. You released two videos, and those are beautiful videos.
Thank you.
So, did you have anything to do with the concept to connect, the dots between the songs and the visual aspect?
Like so, the concept of the record kind of like at least so on the second video, there was like we did that with a lot of that one was shot with just me, say, with a candelabra in the dark singing, and we added some visuals to it. But it's like to invoke the kind of like what's it called emotion and stuff for the song. It's like I can't see anything. I'm getting covered in wax, and my friends like we have a smoke machine just going to town on me. So it's like very uncomfortable and like struggling, like where it's like I feel like a lot of that stuff like invoked like the emotions of what the song is. So like it works for the performance and things like that. The other video, like we did some performance stuff, and then our friends Brian and the Coin basically came up with like those miniatures and other things they had to represent like what the song was about and things like that to go along with it. So
Are there plans to release a third one?
there's a third one too. Third one comes out, I think, when the record comes out.
Oh, interesting. So it will be in the same kind of, I'm guessing, black and white.
Yeah, this one will be a kind of like I think it'll be like a mix of the other two. It'll be black and white, except it'll be full band, and then there'll be like other put stuff back in. But it'll be like say the opposite of the first one. The first one was full band, and it was like a white with like the like and we like it was black and white, but there was like the white background. Where this one will be full band with like the black background, and the band will be in white, and.
Nice. Um, what about the instrumentals? It's like almost a glue between the different acts. So, did you create those after having finished everything?
We created those after we did cause we did the record and like we did guitars, then we went to like a different studio and did drums and vocals, and while we were doing the drums and vocals we did those interludes,
Mm-hmm.
and then we came back and did synthesizers in a different studio when we finished. So we did the interludes when we were working on the drums and vocals in the studio because some of those have like multiple percussion parts, so we had like the whole band do together with Dauber playing drums. Um, like acoustic guitar we did in the studio, and then toward the Necrofier we did like as a whole piece, just like kind of in like that was the only thing I think that was done completely there.
Okay. So it represents how much the band experimented in those additional layers, as you that you mentioned in the beginning.
Yeah, because we tried like on some stuff, like we tracked rhythm guitars and other things and reamped them later, so we would have time to do a couple of things in the studio besides just execute things. Because there's not like a lot of time and money put in the studio like there used to be in like the 70s or the 80s or something. So especially, I mean, with any kind of scene, especially I guess ours. But so like we did some of that stuff pre-hand for being an actual big studio, so we could have more time to experiment with stuff like that.
So as we close this up, I have a general question, kind of a cliché, of course, but it is worth asking. Do you think there is a strong black metal scene here in the States?
I think it's definitely growing. I don't know, like it's because the United States is very big, so I feel like it's not, you don't see it as you can't see it doesn't translate as strong because everything's so spread out. You know, you have like Holder, Lamp of Murmur, One of Nine, Cloak, all these bands, but everybody's spread off so far across the country that you don't see like a concentration of it enough where there's like you can just see it going, like say in some like in Europe, you know, there's a couple of towns, especially like in Scandinavia, where it's like there's a smaller city and there's really so many bands and such like a scene growing from it that you're like, holy shit, it's this. But like I think they're like it's growing in America, but it's not it's everything spread out, so it doesn't have like the concentration, like so it just totally kind of catches fire, kind of thing.
So, do you think a pure black metal festival cannot be viable?
I would say it's tough in America because there's so you would have to have so many bands get in from the other countries that it would just be like monumentally more expensive.
Okay,
but not the. I mean, it's possible.
You know, I was thinking another Hell's Heroes, but in a.
I mean, I've always thought about doing something like that, except it's I haven't really. Nothing's like clicked in where it's more than just a show. So it has to be like for. I feel like especially for if you want to do something like that in black metal in America, it needs to be something more than just like say like you know like kind of like a fest like Hell's Heroes is. It needs to be something special. So like maybe someday, but not right now. Who knows?
Okay. And live plans for Necrofier.
We're doing Maryland Death Fest, and we're doing Festival of Mexico, and then we're working on a couple tours for America for this year, except nothing's done yet. Also, we're going to Europe in September, which isn't announced yet, and then I mean we'll have there'll be a bunch of stuff going on, except for right now the only things we have are like the two festivals, and then we're playing with Acid Bath and Obituary and High and Fire here in Houston.
And this will be the first time for Necrofier to cross the Atlantic, right?
Yes, this will be the first year for sure. So
excited?
Very, very excited about it.
I can feel that. And last question: do you think that this album deserves to be played live from start to finish?
I think it does. We need to. I'm not sure when we'll execute that, but I do believe that we need to do that.
Yeah,
like, especially because it's flowing as one piece. Like it calls to have that done. So at some point we will do that.
Excellent, Christian. Thank you very much. Congratulations on the new album. I don't know. Have safe flights whenever that tour in Europe happens, and I don't know. See you maybe with Necrofier when you come to Chicago, right?
Yeah, for sure. We'll be back.
Absolutely. Have a great rest of your day, man. Thank you again.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.